Back in 2015, I did a project listing hustings for general election then. So we listed over 1,000 hustings around the UK. And so I'm interested in doing a little project to list hustings for a Scottish election, which is coming up. So I'll take you first through the user journey that someone would go through in using this. So first of all, we start on the front page. We do know that a lot of people don't even know what the word hustings means. Which is why we've been careful to avoid using it in the title and have a bit of text on the front page as it briefly explains it. So we asked someone to put in their postcode. We then direct them to a web page for their constituency. So we have a constituency in the region, and we have a URL which is for the constituency, so it's very easy to share. We've got an event here which is just about the constituency, so the directly elected candidates will be there. We have an event there which is about the Lothians, so the list candidates, and events can be tagged for any of these things. We also, obviously with COVID, a lot of all the events going online. So there are events which are sort of saying that they're national events. So I think this event this is the only bit of real data I have so far. But this event is in previous years, I guess, would have been held in Edinburgh and is now called sort of Scotland Cycling Sustainable Travel Event. I guess there's a question here about how national these things are going to be. If you have an event which only discusses things which are of concern to the central belt, and doesn't discuss things which are of concern to the rural north, then is that really a national event? But we'll see how that goes this year. I guess a lot of people are going to be getting used to the new virtual COVID format. And then the last part of the user journey is that we ask basically to get the data, we ask people to tell us, and we have a simple form here, basically to collect data from people. So talking through the tech behind this, so all the data is stored in a Git repository. So basically every event has a YAML file with the details in. And then we have a small Python component which takes that and turns it into a single SQ, basically parses all the files and turns it into a single SQLite database with all the data on the areas and the events. And then we have a little Flask Python website which takes that SQLite, basically from that SQLite database, serves the information to people. Although don't pass around that name yet. So I'm part of and work for Open Data Services. So we're a worker-owned co-op. There's 18 of us around the UK. So I'll have to have a chat to them and see if I've got the time and so on to actually do this project. But hopefully I'll be able to do it. That'll be very interesting, quite good to do, I think. Beyond the election, what we're basically building here is a tool for a community of people to collect listings of events in a Git repository. And that would hopefully be useful in other places too as well. So this idea of storing things in Git isn't a new idea. So this is something we actually do already. So we have an org ID guide. So very briefly, if you want to list an organization in a data set, then there already are various lists around. So our co-op is registered as a limited company of Companies House. So if you wanted to refer to us in the data set, you would say GBCOH, and you could give the number of our registration. And this is used in various data standards we work on, like open contracting. And again, this is all stored in Git. So all the every single list is individually a JSON file with in a Git repository. And that means that you get a lot of things for free. So you get history for free, you get pull requests, and you get a kind of approval and moderation process, all comes for free, which is quite nice. Of course, just because it's in Git, that's a bit of a technical barrier. So we're also thinking about ways to have web forms so people can work on data entries and it'll be submitted back even if they don't know how to use Git. And it's not just us two as well. So Open Data Day was recently, and they had OKFN seemed to quite like doing this. They had basically a Git repository with one CSV file for all the events for this year's Open Data Day. So yeah, so we hopefully we'll have a go at this to see how it goes, and hopefully, so I know from doing this last time there's the potential to make a big impact here. So back in 2015 when I did this, it was referenced by charities and campaign groups, and the data was taken and reused in other digital democracy tools, and hopefully can make an impact both for people who already are in political circles and already connected, but also hopefully sort of do a bit of selling for people who don't know what hustings are and don't know that these these opportunities and events are out there. So hopefully it can be a way to introduce those people as well to this. So that's it.
Fantastic, thank you. Okay, well done. Any questions for James then?
So where you said you only had one event so far, so where are the other ones coming from that were listed?
Oh, I just made them up for test data.
Oh, okay. Right.
That's just fake test data.
And you use the SQLite database, so you have like minimal hosting, is that?
Yes, the hosting should be very light then, basically, and it might be. I guess it depends what we do with the contribution form. So at the moment, I just put a Google form in, so it's a very quick MVP to demo the idea to people. But maybe we would replace that with our own form, and then you would have some data coming back. But at the moment, the website is read-only. It's a read-only website too, as well. You just put these couple of SQLite databases in, and it should be very easy to host, very easy to move around because of that, which is nice.
Yeah.
James, a quick couple of questions. Do you then recreate that SQL database offline? If you see what I'm saying, not in real time.
Yeah, so basically every hour a cron job would just run the script to pull down the latest, then parse it into an SQLite file and just replace that on the server.
And second quick question is, are you using raw Git, or have you got some nice library you're using to write your information back to Git?
So at the moment, I haven't done anything around that. So we've got a Google form, which obviously appears in the Google spreadsheet, and I'll be sort of copying. The idea of I just have to copy and paste. So I think if this did start to get a lot of events, that would obviously start to become annoying. I think the first thing to do would be to replace this with a form which wrote information that was easier to process. So you'd have a form which wrote one of the YAML files directly to disk somewhere, and then if the event was okay, you can just copy and paste that file in. So there's things we can think about in terms of making it easier to process the events, and that if it becomes a really big thing, that's definitely key. So if you're talking about a website where you're crowdsourcing information, you don't want to be relying on one or two people to have to process everything, because that gets you quite a burden. So you basically want something like Wikidata, where you put information. There's a path for many different people to contribute and build it up.
Thank you.
So yeah, certainly, and also with this form here too as well, that's something we're still thinking about and still working out good ways that you can. Someone can very easily fill form out and it just goes back automatically and saves you lots of effort.